All right, I'm going to play d4. We haven't played d4 yet. Let's see what he plays and maybe what we want to do next. Start with a d pawn for a change. Well, I think after a move like knight c6, we're already in a situation where we can handle this on a very individual basis, right? Of course, we can continue with other moves. Knight f3, e4, c4, but definitely the most direct way that I would recommend handling this, like by far, is just d5. Like, let's call a spade. You're gonna bring a knight out and no center pawn? Look, I'll take a little bit of space. I don't mind. I mean, the knight should go there. But yeah, if people don't take the center of the board against you at all, like if they're not moving pawns, it might be wise to keep pushing. But it's very well known that, you know, e4, knight f6, you keep pushing that thing. d4, knight c6, keep pushing that thing. I mean, this is already like put him out here. He's never seen this type of refutation before. He's really never seen it. All right, knight to b4. Now, I know you guys might all be laughing at these moves, but I really want to take a moment and actually acknowledge what's happening here. I think this happens more than people think, and I think that it gets mishandled more than people think. People like run their knights around the board and waste like 50,000 moves all the time. But not every single move that you make is going to be a good move in these cases, right? There are going to be better moves. So, for example, these two moves hit the knight, but I would definitely say that my favorite first move to start with would for sure be e4. For sure. Now, I'm going to have these two moves available next turn anyway. They're always going to be available to hit the knight. And there's no move that black can do that's going to assist this knight. It's always going to have to go back here. So I actually don't have to rush to kick it out. I don't. e4 just takes the center, protects my center pawn, opens up my pieces. I mean, now everything, the world is my oyster. I can decide where to put my pieces. Yes, I have a3, but I'm waiting for it. Remember, if the knight goes back, then all of a sudden it can jump in here. I'm not sure I want to see it on c5 right away, so I'd rather delay kicking it as long as possible. I can always boot that knight. No need to rush it. I had another game, I think it was the very first game in this series, where there was a knight on b4, and I actually delayed kicking it with a3, understanding that the knight only had this square available. That's just how it works. So we've already had this type of pattern. c6. Okay. Again, I see c6, and I'm like, look, if I take it, that doesn't make any sense. I'm like helping the knight. If it takes me, I don't see any issues there. So c6 is a good looking move, but also not, to me, not really like threatening that much. I still think this knight is going to need to go there and there eventually. So, I have a few options. The first option is probably pawn here. If the knight goes there, well, you might be like, bishop takes a6, buddy. a3, bishop takes a6. Pawn takes a6, pawn takes, queen takes. Woo! But after bishop takes a6, queen a5 is a very... I don't want to call it a trap because it doesn't win material, but it's a very nice move to check the king and take back with the queen. And I think I would actually just not even have a good position if I did that. So I'm not too interested. I have to admit, I'm not too interested. What I am probably going to do, and I'm interested in, is I'm just going to play c4. You want to take me? I'm going to take back. I'm gonna bring my knight out, and again, I'm ready to kick this knight whenever, but I'm not in a particular rush. Like I don't think this knight's doing anything. So I'm gonna play c4, bring my knight out. Again, queen a5, like my opponent is going kind of all in, like as if this is the be all and end all. I've seen this exact same thing in the very first game we played. How did we react to this? I mean, the same way, right? Bishop d2. Bishop d2. Now he's stuck. What does he do now? I'm gonna try to get out of this. Curious what he's gonna do next. So we've got a pin here, and a3 next is definitely going to be an impressive move. Hits the knight, but remember, we can't take with the pawn because our rook is hanging. But a3 does threaten to play bishop takes knight. Okay, takes. We have options here. I can play a3 and totally ignore that move, right? That makes basically a winning threat. Or we could take this pawn back in either direction, and I imagine our opponent is still going to have some issues with this, but in my opinion, why not start with the move a3? Obviously, I don't care about these pawns. I'm about to win material, so we're going to start with a3, which threatens bishop takes knight. Not pawn takes, but bishop takes knight. Queen c5, indeed. Queen c5 on the previous turn would have absolutely been necessary by my opponent, but you see how I've actually caused my opponent way more issues by leaving the knight there, rather than just kicking it away right away. It's like, yes, kicking it away, I gain some time, but you'll notice how the knight, in my opinion, is actually not that well placed on b4, so I'm not eager to boot it back to simply a better square. On c5, I think the knight stands pretty well. I'm not that interested in seeing it improve that quickly, so leave your opponent's knight there. Who knows what they're going to concoct. You can always kick the knight out later with a3, so basically there's no need to rush it. So he may try to push this pawn, because then the bishop defends the knight. That would be a serious bit of understanding, actually.
See you later. I'll give you a hug.
J-Man.
Whoa, 10 gifted subs.
Must be for you, bro.
Oh, sorry, did I step on your...
Nope. Must be for you.
Have a good...
Jeff is off to Norway.
Have a good time here with Alan.
He'll be a big replacement for you. Not sure he'll be able to fill your shoes. I think the stream's gonna miss you as well, Jeff.
See you all later.
Yep. Oof.
I'll try and film a few videos.
Oh, people are already asking.
Maybe with Magnus.
They're already peeking, like, make sure you get some footage, but that's why we're sending Jeff there.
See you all.
Yeah. See you, Jeff. Safe trip, buddy.
Yeah.
All right. What's going on here? I don't see what the heck just happened? Are we really back? Because Jeff left, and it just couldn't handle it. That's what I understood. Hello, bud.
Saying goodbye.
Well, it's a good thing we're still here. It's a good thing we're still. Jeff said goodbye, and we lost him. See you, bud.
See ya. We'll be watching.
You're bringing the underdog overseas.
I am. I
Yeah.
am.
Let them know.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be spreading the word.
The gospel. We're back. Okay. See you, buddy. Safe trip.
We're back to the turn off.
Yeah. When Jeff came to say goodbye, it couldn't handle.
So
like,
I can't put it in sleep mode.
So what's that?
Sleep mode. It's not off, but it's on sleep mode. I need to put it back on. Do you think it has to do with the
Oh, that's 100% what
I
happened.
asked Jeff before doing it, and so he. Not sleep.
Oh, that's 100% what
So
happened.
let me.
Yeah, because it said something about the recording. Okay, well, I know why it crashed now. There we go. That makes sense. Yeah, safe flight to the boys. Safe flight, safe flight. All right. And we saw Queen E5 get played. It's technically a double attack here, and if we play Knight C3, then we cover both of them, but I'm a little concerned that I'm gonna drop my bishop there. Right? That doesn't look right. So, I think what we're gonna do, you know what I'd love to do? I'd love to get him to take here and then try to trap his queen somehow. I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to do that. We still have a game here, yeah? Don't forget. We still have a game here. But I think it may just be Knight F3. You know, take which one you want. If you want to take here, I'm just going to go Bishop E2 and castle. I'm up a full piece. Let's just get pieces out. If you're moving your queen around 50,000 times, I don't care. I don't care. I'm going to play with a little more pizzazz, right? I'm up a piece. I don't truly care about another pawn in the middle here. I just want to get castled. I'm looking to get my pieces out as fast as possible. And actually, if he takes this, it's probably going to work out for me because I have Knight C3 coming, Knight D5, Knight C7. I think we can get a really quick attack. Thanks for all the subs there, Entals. I think you gave 10 when Jeff came, and you gave 5 when Eric came to say goodbye. I think we know who your favorite is. And am I saying your name right? Thanks for the support, buddy. 25 subs. Oh, it may, Kinsgod. Maybe not every game, but the ones I feel are sort of instructive. Okay, does not want to take that pawn or that pawn. Look at that. He wasn't having any part of it. E5 comes to mind. Bishop C4. Yeah, bishop C4 or E5. Again, the queen is still moving a bunch. Knight C3, Knight D5 also looks a bit tempting. Let's see here. How do we want to play this? I think if I play Knight C3, you know, E6 probably has to be played. And then we get to take this. Objectively, Knight C3 is just a simple and great move. And Taz, oh, thank you kindly, buddy. Yeah, this will probably make it on YouTube. Like I just said, not every game, but the ones I think are instructive. And yeah, the whole point is we're taking our time here, talking through the moves. I'm dealing with someone who's basically only moving their queen right now. So I'm hoping that we're all going to be able to handle this type of a player. I do not usually play slower games, so it is a rare sight indeed. Knight d5, guess what? Hitting the queen and hitting that square. My opponent has not developed a single piece. The only piece they've developed has been the knight, and they lost it. And they're just moving their queen around. This is a good reminder, right? This is why you don't develop your queen early. Why you need to control the center on the first move of the game with some move. Knight c6 is just not good enough. Very tough position for him. Queen e6 to hit this pawn, even more pain. Queen g6, right? Not a bad idea there, at least making a threat. So, yeah, whether or not he finds a good move here, it's already the case that it's just a reminder to those lower rated, you just can't play with one piece, especially the queen. I've done the opposite. I have not moved my queen, and I'm pretty much using all my minor pieces, and I'm able to basically push my opponent around here. Right? The minor pieces all hit the queen, and I'm gaining tempo every single move, gaining time. My opponent's moving the queen, but you can't win the game with just one piece. Queen takes b2 is absolutely another suggestion. The thing about queen takes b2 is that there's no return squares along this diagonal. So once the queen is in there, I don't think it's getting back out. Queen takes b2, rook b1. Where does the queen go? There's only a2. And then a move like knight c3 would actually trap and win the queen. So queen g6. And you know what? I actually think this is probably the best move. So credit to my opponent for dodging a lot of potential blunders. I think queen g6 is basically the best move. So that's a good move. Yeah, knight c7, hard to refuse a move like that. After knight c7, he still has an opportunity to really make a mistake. So we'll see if he does. King d7 would be a little inferior to king d8. King d7, knight e5 would then win the queen. So he did well once again to dodge that. So the funny thing about this position is if he takes my pawn, which he's poised to do, it would be the exact same thing, and he just did it, as right here. So instead of taking the pawn here, he basically wanted to allow my knight to get to a8, lose a rook, move his king, and move one pawn. It's like, okay, I'll take that trade, right? Bishop e2, we're ready to castle now. Still following the fundamentals here. I'm winning materials, so of course I'm on a bit of a side quest here. But for the most part, still staying true to the basic principles. What if I had played e5? Well, of course I could play e5 and knight c7 mate, but e5 is also a little bit of hope chess, right? e5 is hoping for pawn takes. That's a move I would play if I wasn't on the SlowBrah account. But we're not building those bad habits here. That's for that KNVB guy. I'm a changed man. All right? We play good chess over here. We don't look for better. We look for the best. Okay, bishop to d7. So the queen's in the middle. He finally develops a piece, which is actually quite genuinely a good sign. Castling comes to mind. Lots of other things to consider here, but castling really stands out. Rook c1, but I just think once we're castled, then we can get frisky and think about the next thing to do. Castling is just such a good habit. Get the king out of the middle, maybe rook e1, and then moves like knight g5 come to mind here. Okay, definitely looking at rook c1, little basic threat here. b5. Probably bishop a5 check to save this knight. Yeah, I think b5, bishop a5 is good. Tough spot for my opponent here. I'm just making moves that appear to do things with tempo. That's a great way to live your life as a chess player. Rook e1, likely a tempo on the queen soon. Rook c1, threatening something and developing. Notice how my queen has not moved yet, right? His queen has moved so many times. My queen hasn't moved once. And my position's a lot stronger because his queen has been under attack from all my pieces. And it continues to be. Early queen sorties. I mean, sometimes you'll see very strong players like grandmasters, you know, kind of having a laugh, moving their queen a bunch. Of course, a strong player can make it work, but know that you literally have to master the entire game of chess, have a very deep understanding of why you shouldn't do it to know, to be able to make it work at all. An actual 500 is not going to be able to just bring their queen out and have it make sense, or any remote sense at all. All right, well, after g6, I think the move knight g5 is extremely tempting because f7 and the queen are hit, and queen e6 is impossible, and queen d5 we can trade and take there. So knight g5 looks like it wins a lot of material. Apart from that, I'm looking at the move that, well, this was my last move, rook c1 to take on c4. I'm hitting the queen. Where can that queen go? And what do I have to follow up? Rook takes. I mean, the queen could go here. Queen could go here. Queen here, and I'm not really seeing the next move. So I like the knight g5 idea. We'll see where he puts the queen. A lot of potential squares. Queen h4, queen f4 are both fairly decent. Queen d5 is maybe the move he might land on if he finds the best looking move because it actually guards that pawn. But we do have some options there. Tough spot for my opponent, right? Knight g5. My opponent has every single one of their pawns, but they're missing a knight and they're missing a rook, so kind of in my favor. But I like how most of this game has showcased the power of the initiative. We have been operating with the initiative. Every move, we try to attack something. I mean, queen e5 is unfortunately probably the worst move. The worst safe looking move. It looks like it's safe in the center of the board, hitting a knight, but it's actually the worst one. And hey, again, credit to my opponent here. Another good looking move. You know, there's no way to save everything, but it is the closest looking thing. So I think queen d5 is good. Now in this situation, if I take on f7, that's great. You know, that's fantastic. What I'm going to do though is I'm probably at least going to consider what happens if bishop takes c4. Because if bishop c4 and he trades queens, knight takes f7, knight c7 is mate. The only reason I would not consider something like this or this, like in between moves, is that it loses my knight. Losing the knight is unfortunately something we can't allow. So absolutely the best move will be queen takes queen. Knight takes f7 and knight takes h8. But believe me, I thought about it. You do want to think about stuff like that. I did not think about this move. I have to be fully transparent here. e6 escaped me. Well, my opponent has offered a draw. I may have to decline that one. As tight as this game looks, I may need to decline it. Now, if knight takes here, king e7, king e8, like, I'm going to lose that knight. So I'm actually not too interested in that. I think I'm just going to take here and bring my queen closer to the king. Maybe look for queen to c7. Take the draw while you still can. No, I'm pushing through. If I was off stream, I would have taken a draw. But I'm on stream. So obviously we can't be showing signs of weakness. All right, knight d5. Again, pretty good move. Stopping this for what that's worth. Queen to b8 check threatens this, and also I still have knight f7. So I'm just looking at queen b8. Is that worth it? Or just go straight away with knight to f7. And you know what? I think knight f7 is good enough. Keep things simple. Take the rook. I'm just going to give a little bit of thought to bishop takes pawn and queen takes d7. But, you know, taking our opponent's rook off the board, gotta be a good thing. So we'll keep it simple here. Bishop g7. How do we continue our attack? I'm kind of looking at queen b8 here. Hitting the d6 pawn. It also guards my knight, strangely. Knight f7 is playable because the bishop hangs. So my knight is not even trapped, which is important to remember. Lots of good moves, believe me. Like, bishop takes. I'm up so much material here. Everything wins, but I'll just play a move that covers everything. Why the heck not? That looks like it's multitasking. Rook takes c4. I mean, yeah, I'm sure these moves are all winning. But my knight is hanging, so why not play a move to defend it? Why not? I'm also covertly threatening bishop takes on d6 or queen takes on d6. Yep, and I believe I am going to go for that. Let's take with the bishop check. I still have this bishop hanging, but if the king goes here, we're not going to take the bishop. We're going to deliver a mate. I had a feeling that might happen. Good game. GG. Let's observe the game review there. Oh, damn it. We lost the game review. 69.5% accuracy. I knew this guy was a good player. We lost the game review. Yeah, knight c6 I don't love as a move there. Definitely not. Right, knight b4, and to me I love e4. I think it's definitely the move. Play in the center, and just not get caught up with kicking the knight, because you can do that whenever you want. So c6, and here I'm well aware that, you know, c4 is not the best move on the board, but you know what it does do is it solidifies my center pawn and says, okay, you still got a knight that still can't return to the action. This is not very easy to play. So I'm a big fan of c4. You know, other moves I just think are not that much better. I actually don't have a particular liking for this. I really don't. It might be one of the top ways to play here, but I don't like the idea of giving away the bishop. Yes, it is a very good way to play, but I don't think that yields much of an advantage, and you can always get outplayed by the bishop pair. It kind of goes back to my rule that I've always had. And the rule that I've always had is I would rather have something that my opponent doesn't have. I'd rather have something and you have nothing, rather than I have something and you have something worse. For example, I would rather be up a knight. I have a knight and you don't have a knight. I'm just up a clean knight. That means every single position in chess is going to be better for me because I have an extra knight. There are there are very few positions where having an extra knight is not better than having no knight, right? But if I have a rook and you have a bishop, or if I have a queen and you have a rook, there are lots of positions where the rook might be better than the queen. Of course, there are going to be way more where the queen is better than the rook. The queen is better than a rook. But let's say out of 100 positions, if I have an extra knight and you don't, I have a full clean extra knight compared to you. Very likely 100 of those positions that you might find in a game are going to be better for the side that has an extra knight. If I have a queen and you have a rook, maybe 85 of them are better for the queen, maybe 90, maybe even 95. But no matter what, there's a higher percentage of positions where the rook actually can outplay the queen. It's possible. So I think it's a really important concept. Here, this is what I'm saying. In this position, I feel like I have a lead in development. My opponent has a bad knight. I'd rather just get developed. I have something you don't have. As soon as I go like this, it's like, yeah, I have a lead in development. Well, maybe not anymore. Now you have the bishop pair, and it kind of compensates for what I have. I'd rather not deal with, I have something and you have something. Which one is better? I'd rather just have something that you don't have. Then I know I'm better every single time. It's just a lot easier. So yeah, you have a bad knight and no development. Yeah, I'm just gonna gain more space and keep my pawn there. It's basically why I played c4. I mean, this move really walks into bishop d2. It also helps that we've already had a game exactly like this. Literally our first game in the speed run. So bishop d2 is an automatic move, and then a3 capitalizing on the pin. And just like that, I think we made the right decision with c4 because blunders just happened. Yeah, he needed to take my pawn there. But at this point, everything's falling. Everything's falling. Yeah, and he just, I guess, maybe forgot that his knight could take. Maybe he didn't see that. Maybe he didn't see that the knight was actually defending it. That's possible. Poor guy. I thought he played pretty well. I really did. He lasted, pretty long. It was like 23 moves. I think it's the longest game that we've had. He also used his time well. But you know what he didn't do? He didn't have an opening, a good opening at all. He should move something to take control of the center. Even knight f6 controls the center. Knight c6 just gets kicked around. So not a good opening. And then moving the queen out was a really poor decision. Move 4, moving the queen. No, big mistake. And he paid for it pretty much the entire game. He paid for it the entire game. So yeah, that's pretty much what happened that game.